is up, everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of my first mock draft. I hope you guys enjoyed the first part of it. I know there was some polarizing picks, especially towards the end. 8 and 9 are probably the biggest controversial ones, but it's just what I would do in that scenario. I thought I explained kind of why I would do that. So, but if you are, if you're questioning, just leave a comment and I can answer it. So moving on here, 11 through 20 in this part, and starting off with pick number 11 for the newly named Washington Commanders. In this scenario, I would go quarterback just because it has not been addressed yet this offseason. I assume they're going to try and acquire a veteran, but as it stands right now, they haven't. I know free agency hasn't opened, but the trade market's there. I would go Matt Corral, my quarterback 1 from this draft class. I mean, he just has an absolute zip on the ball like nobody else in this draft class. And really, I think has, besides Malik Willis, has the most upside. He didn't really play in a NFL level offense at Ole Miss. It was a lot of RPOs and stuff like that. And he's really stuck on his first read. But I truly think that Corral, is my quarterback 1. I think he truly looks like Kyler Murray, especially with his throwing motion and his ability to extend plays and his throwing on the run ability and stuff like that. It just reminds me very much of Kyler Murray when he was at Oklahoma. Nowhere near close to Kyler Murray as a prospect, but I think there's some similarities in his game there. And then pick number 12, maybe the biggest shock, probably the biggest shock here. I actually have a trade here. And there's a guy that fell out of the top 10 that I think New England would just be all over. So I have them trading their 21st, 85th, and 170th pick to Minnesota for the 12th pick. And the pick is pretty obvious here. I think this is a big need for New England going in to the offseason. There's a question mark with J.C. Jackson, and they really don't have anybody that's elite behind them. So the pick here is Ahmad Sauce Gardner, who a lot of people are saying is CB1 in this draft class, picking up steam, and he was genuinely the definition of a lockdown corner in Cincinnati. I mean, no touchdowns allowed in his college career. I think he only had like 1,000 yards allowed across 3 or 4 seasons. That is ridiculous. And he shut down Jameson Williams in that playoff game, for Cincinnati. Just a textbook player, long, lengthy, press corner, very physical, great ball skills. I think that he would come in here next to J.C. Jackson and just make an immediate impact for this New England defense and put them even more on top than they already are. And I think it's just this for me is an absolute no-brainer. I don't think Sauce would fall out, but in this scenario he did. So New England's not really ever traded up on the first round. Why not go get this guy from Cincinnati that is an absolute hit, in my opinion, absolute home run of a prospect. One of the best, in this draft class at the corner position, maybe the best, arguably, in this draft at the cornerback position. So then we have the Cleveland Browns. I think this is a really easy pick. Just you running this up to the podium. Garrett Wilson, Ohio State. It's done. Garrett Wilson's my wide receiver 3. And a lot of Ohio State fans are going to be mad about that. And I promise you, I'm not biased. I just think that London and Burks have a higher ceiling than Wilson does. Wilson's going to be probably the best player out the gate, in my opinion, just because he's got, he's probably, outside of Olave, the best route runner in this draft class. Very good hands, has a bigger catch radius than a lot of people give him credit for. And it's going to be interesting to see where Cleveland plays him. If they're going to play him outside or in the slot, because he kind of did both at Ohio State. I would think they'd put him outside, though, and keep Landry in the slot. But Garrett Wilson from Ohio State, I think this is an easy pick. Very good player in this draft class. Probably a top 15 player in this draft class, I would think. If not, he's very close to that. So I think very good pick here from the Cleveland Browns, really getting some wide receiver help for Baker Mayfield that obviously lacked last season after they let go of Odell Beckham Jr. and with the Jarvis Landry injury and Donovan Peoples-Jones really not stepping up as well as they hoped. And the Baltimore Ravens here, I think your two options are edge and tackle. And I kind of, went back and forth, but this pass protection was really the reason I think they did not make the playoffs. And Lamar getting hurt and stuff like that because of this pass protection. So best pass protecting tackle on the board, Charles Cross is the pick here to Baltimore. I don't think he's typically what you think of a Baltimore Raven. I think that's more like Trevor Penning or Bernard Raymond, but I just think Cross is too good of a player to pass up right now on this, at this point in the draft. I think there is going to be a little bit of grooming with him for run blocking because at Mississippi State, he's, dropping back 700 pass protection snaps a year because Mike Leach doesn't run the football at Mississippi State in that air raid offense. But I think that this needs to happen for the pick here in this situation. Lamar got hurt last year, really was like, especially early on in the season, was having to make a ton of plays like off script because he didn't have a lot of pass protection. I think this really helps. You could go Raymond or Penning here. I just think Cross is the better option in my opinion. So then we move on to the Philadelphia Eagles portion of the draft, as they have 3 of the next 5 picks, I believe. And with this first pick here, I think you address edge rusher. You get an impactful player at an impactful position. In my opinion, you go George Karlaftis out of Purdue. Now, do I think he's as good as the top guys? No. I think he's a little bit lower of a ceiling just due to the fact that he doesn't have as long arms as Hutchinson or Thibodeau, or he doesn't really have the bend, but he's very consistent. And I think he's got some of the best pass rush moves in this class. I think he's very refined. So I think he's a very high floor player with, I wouldn't say he's a low ceiling, but he's kind of got like, he's lower than like a Hutchinson or a Thibodeau. I think he's going to come in here and really help out this Eagles pass rush that has kind of been, looking for a spark, I think, and Karlaftis can give them that. He's a high motor player. He's pretty good against the run. I think this is a very impactful player for the Philadelphia Eagles here at number 15. I think he just gives them more off the edge. I think Josh Sweat, I think was bound for kind of a breakout year and then kind of got hurt. Brandon Graham got hurt. Fletcher Cox is getting older. Derek Barnett, I believe, is a free agent. So you come in here and you put Karlaftis in that Barnett role, and I think you really get a nice day one impact player at a impactful position that you need, that you are lacking on your roster right now. And then at 16 here, another position that the Eagles have kind of, suffered at over the last couple of years. They traded for Darius Slay. 2 years ago, they signed Steven Nelson this offseason. So why not get somebody that you can groom to be that cornerback one to put alongside Darius Slay and Andrew Booth Jr., who is another very good man coverage corner, and he can play zone as well. He's very versatile. I think a lot of people don't really know about him because Clemson wasn't great this season, but Andrew Booth Jr. is a very solid corner. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's got pretty good ball skills. And I think definitely, at this point, the best cornerback available in this draft right now, and definitely a position of need for the Philadelphia Eagles, who have tried to really fill that role kind of for a long time. I think Avonte Maddox finally broke out this season as their slot guy, and then they had Darius Slay, and they've kind of been trying to fill that CB2 for a long time, and I think you fill it here with Andrew Booth, who comes in and is an immediate starter for your team day one. So then we go to the Los Angeles Chargers, and I think Chargers fans are going to be kind of upset at this pick because you wouldn't think it's very impactful, but the biggest issue for this Chargers team last season was they could not stop the run for anything. They were the worst team against the run. It was the reason they didn't make the playoffs, not because of, obviously the Brandon Staley timeout kind of had something to do with it, but they really missed opportunities because of the fact they could not stop the run. So where do you go with this draft? I mean, a lot of people have been mocking another weapon for Justin Herbert or tackle, but in my opinion, you have to stop the run because it was just awful last season. Brandon Staley's a defensive guy. I go Jordan Davis here. out of Georgia. And dude's an absolute mammoth of a man, like 340 pounds. Was a Heisman candidate for a majority of the season. Just an absolute mauler in there up front, and can really just move people and get out of the way. Kind of like what they signed Linval Joseph to be, but he hasn't really worked out. So he kind of steps in, plays that Linval Joseph role up front, and really is just a, clogger of the middle of the field. And, in there for a run stopper, he's got some decent, pass rush ability, too, for a guy that size, and he's pretty quick at 340 pounds for, just that big of a dude to move that fast is freaking crazy. So, Jordan Davis is the pick here for the Los Angeles Chargers. Just, it fits just a, need so badly. And you could go elsewhere, but I think that, the Chargers were so bad at stopping the run, you have to go with this pick. So then the New Orleans Saints. Obviously I think receiver, quarterback, two biggest needs on their team, with really Marquez Callaway being their wide receiver 1 last year and not much else after that. Now you have Michael Thomas coming back, but really you don't have much after him. I think Deontay Harris is coming back, but I think he's a free agent, so you're going to have to pay him. So my opinion here is I don't think they're going to sign Jameis Winston back. I think Jameis Winston's going to walk. I think he's going to get a deal somewhere else, like Pittsburgh, like Denver, or, maybe even interdivision, like Carolina or Tampa or something like that. So I think you go Sam Howell out of North Carolina here. And to me, Sam Howell is sneaky athletic. I mean, you watch this dude running QB draws and just run over people. It's ridiculous. And he's probably, outside of Malik Willis, has the best arm talent in this draft class. I think he's the most consistent arm talent in this draft class. Just absolute cannon of an arm. And within this system, this RPO-heavy system for the Saints would really thrive. And I just think that Sam Howell's really, he's underrated, man. I know he didn't have a great junior season, but if it was sophomore year Sam Howell, I mean, you're talking about him going number 1 overall. I guess not number 1 overall because Trevor Lawrence, but number 2 overall to the Detroit Lions. I mean, Sam Howell's can get back to that level. I mean, his sophomore season they had Javonte Williams, they had Michael Carter, and they had Diami Brown, and it was a vertical, heavy threat passing offense. And then all those guys left, and Mac Brown was like, all right, let's go to RPOs and QB draws. We know this guy can, play in a real NFL offense. And I think, it's a perfect scenario here with him in New Orleans, because they just fit him so well, in my opinion. And Sam Howell's great with his reads. He's a great arm. I just think, I think him not having the talent around him kind of really hurt his draft stock this season, which is why you see him falling all the way to 18 here. And then number 19, so we have the third pick for Philly in this round. Again, I think another big, huge need for Philly is linebacker. There's not been one off the board. I'm taking Devin Lloyd out of Utah. I just think he's, 1, more pro ready than a Kobe Dean. 2, is just absolute freak athlete. I mean, his Rose Bowl game against Ohio State was nuts. I mean, this dude was making plays all over the field. Sideline to sideline guy, can play the run, good blitzer. I think, his main weakness is coverage, but he really improved at that this season at Utah, and I thought was leaps and bounds better than his redshirt sophomore and redshirt freshman season. I think that he will continue to develop that. He will come in here and make an impact for that Philly defense and be that commander-in-chief in the middle for Philly, who's really lacked a good linebacker since Jordan Hicks was there. I know they brought in Garrett Wilson. He didn't really work out. Alex Singleton kind of took a step back last season, and they're really looking for somebody to take over that group. And I think Devin Lloyd can do that right away in his rookie year out of Utah. And then the final pick for this part of the mock draft is the Pittsburgh Steelers at 20. And there's a guy that's been rumored to them all, for the last 2 weeks since the Senior Bowl, in Malik Willis. And I did consider a couple other guys too. I did consider Carson Strong. I did consider Kenny Pickett. I considered going O-line and like Kenyon Green or Raymond or Trevor Penning, but ultimately I did go with Malik Willis. I think Pittsburgh is going to bring in a veteran, whether that be Jameis, Teddy Bridgewater, somebody like that, and then have Rudolph Haskins and Malik Willis, in this case, come in and just compete for the starting job. And I don't think Malik Willis is going to win it. Personally, I think Malik Willis has the highest upside in this draft class. No question about it. I don't think anybody's questioning that. But I also think he's a minimum year project and more likely a 2-year project. Kind of like what Trey Lance was coming out, except he's even more raw than Trey Lance. He's got great arm talent, and you see the wow plays, but then the next play you're like, what are you doing? You have these head-scratching plays from Malik Willis. And, I don't think he's ready to start right away. I think he's going to sit at least a year, if not 2. And I think, if Ritter was on the board here, I would take Ritter because I think Pittsburgh's in a win-now mode. And I thought about Kenny Pickett because he is the most pro-ready quarterback, but I don't think Kenny Pickett would thrive in Pittsburgh, due to the fact that the hand concern's a real thing, man. And in crappy weather, cold weather, I don't think Kenny Pickett's, going to do that great. So that's why I went with Malik Willis. Plus, you're betting on the upside of Malik Willis, which is absolutely astronomical. But Malik Willis is going to have to work on his reads and progression. He's going to have to work on his accuracy. And he's going to have to work on staying in the pocket because he does bail from clean pockets, like nobody else besides Kenny Pickett. He does that more than anybody I've ever seen in my life. But Malik Willis is the pick here at number 20. So that's it for this part. What did you guys think? I know you guys are going to call me a homer for having the Patriots move up from 21 to 12, but it's okay. I can take it. You can't pass up on a guy like Sauce Gardner in that situation if you're Bill Belichick. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and leave your comments on the picks that you liked and didn't like in the bottom. And then leave a like and subscribe if you liked the video. And hope you guys enjoyed it and have a great Tuesday. And I'll see you on Wednesday for part 3, the conclusion of my mock draft. So have a great day, everybody, and peace.